Hi, this is Brian, and welcome to another SkyPortal Astronomy video. In this one, I'll be using Fritz to show you how to scan through sources to evaluate their classifications. And this is especially useful for projects that involve an active learning component, where a machine learning classifier's results are evaluated by people, and then the revised classifications are incorporated into a new training set. And so with that, I'll get into the tutorial. So first, I'll go to a group over here on the left that contains machine learning classifications. And now we're on the group source page. And so the first thing I suggest doing is to filter this list of sources down so that you're only focusing on one kind of classification. And so to do that, you can click Filter Table in the upper right, then the classification dropdown, and let's choose one kind of classification. You can choose more if you want, but I'll just choose one for now. And then we click Submit. And now all the sources have that classification as part of their list of classifications. And so now I suggest dropping down more information about each source, and you can do that with the arrow over here on the left. And so once you click that, I also suggest clicking the dropdowns for the annotations that are posted for each source. And if you do it for just the first source here, then all of them will also have that information drop down. So that's useful. And so now in a few seconds, some more information will load in about each source. So here we have the time series photometry and also the phase folded photometry, which is folded on the period that's provided here. And if there is no period provided, then it'll be folded on one day. So now, having looked at the light curves here, if we feel like something needs to be changed about these classifications, let's start with, say, adding new classifications. Then we can scroll down to here and select our taxonomy. And then we'll want to make sure that scale parent-child probabilities is selected here, and it is. And so then let's choose classification and maybe some child classifications of that parent. And so now, once we use these sliders, it'll stage those classifications to be posted once we click Submit Classifications down here. And so we checked scale parent-child probabilities, and the way that works is that it enforces that the parent classification's probability cannot be less than any of its child classification's probabilities. So for example, if I bring this child classification probability to 1, it'll also bring the parent probability to 1. And it also works the other direction. If I bring the parent down to 0.25, then it'll make sure that any of the child classifications also have a probability no greater than 0.25. All right. Now, what if we want to delete some classifications that already exist? And so there's a quick way to do this without having to click into the individual source page. We can just mouse over the classification we're interested in deleting, and then there will be this trash bin icon on the right. And if we click on that, it'll ask for one more confirmation, and then it will delete the classification for us. And so this helps you quickly delete multiple classifications if necessary. And so once we're finished adding and deleting classifications, we might want to label that this source has been looked at so that someone else doesn't look at it again. And so in this example on Fritz, we have a specific taxonomy just for that purpose. And so if we go to the classifications here, you'll see that there's a labeled classification. And so when I'm finished with this source, I would drag that to 1, and then it'll stage the labeled classification to be posted. There's also an ignore classification if you feel like it's better to ignore this source than to change its classifications. And so then once this is posted, then other scanners can filter by non-classification. So they can go back up to the filter tab here. And then they can filter by non-classification, and they can specifically select that labeled classification. And so there it is. And so then this will help them to avoid sources that have already been classified by a person. They can still filter by classification as well to select a specific classification to focus on. All right, so then you can go down the list of sources. There are by default 10 on each page. And then when you get to the bottom and go to the next page, the dropdowns that you clicked on the previous page will still be selected. So we'll still have the photometry loading in, and we'll still have the annotations displaying without having to click those again. And so that's the tutorial for how to scan through sources and evaluate their classifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.